Hello, Lightning Brigade. We have our very own Electro Archon today. Our new 5-star Electro character, the one we've been waiting for almost a month now. Just a straight month of nothing but grinding. But for today, I bring you a basically quick guide into her kit, how she works, some examples that might make things a bit easier. Later on, I might make an artifact set comparison. Right now, we have a little bit of a weapon comparison at the very end of this, so be sure to stay tuned. Teams are going to be a little simplistic. We're going to go over talents, artifacts, weapons, and her basic role. So after giving the layout, we can start with her role. She is a burst support. Now, when she's in her burst mode, she's in DPS mode, but mainly you have her here to recharge your team, so she plays the battery role as a support. You have her here to gain her burst back. When she uses her burst, battery again. Also, her E skill is very good in order to help your main DPS in your party. As for that one fact I usually like to throw in the beginning of the video, I'm just going to go with the one that everybody knows. Because I don't want to go into any spoilers. Watch my story video if you want that. Obviously, we all know she can't cook. So we're going to go into her talents and then the priorities of what moves you should level up first. Because I was grinding for her, I'm triple crowning everything because I love this character so much. But for you guys, let's just go into this step by step and then I'll give you your little order of operations. So first, her normal attack is just a regular 6 string. It's not too impressive and she doesn't do that much damage from her auto attack, so I would not worry about this if I was you. You get the Baleful Omen, Transcendence, Baleful Omen, you know the whole thing, right? This basically, in short, gives you sort of a Xing Chu attack. Typically when you use Xing Chu, if you don't have him already, he's a great support because his burst gives you weapons that will attack as you attack. So let's say you were playing like Fischl and you use Xing Chu. So the moment you use Xing Chu's burst and Fischl starts normal attacking with her bow, his burst will start attacking with you. Instead, though, which makes this really good, is that it's on her E skill, and it lasts for a very long time, like 25 seconds. The other great part is the cooldown's only 10 seconds, so you can just keep prompting it back up by switching into her, pressing E, and then going back into it, and it's great for helping out your other characters. As well as, it also gives extra bonus damage in bursts. Now, I'm going to have to test this out myself for specific numbers, but it's just good to know that when you have this up, specifically when you see the little eye come up, because that's when you know it's active, it means the burst is going to do more damage now. So whatever character you're currently using, you've given them more damage with your burst because you used her E, because the ring's there with the Stormy Eye. Lastly, her most important skill, the Muso no Hitotachi, or the Muso Sensetsu, it puts her into a different state. So immediately when you start the burst, she does a slash. This initial hit has 601% of her damage at talent level 7. It goes up higher, obviously, the more you level. But it's just good to know that Mihoyo kind of makes it clear for you. As you can see here with like auto attacks, how it has 1 hit damage, 2 hit damage, 3 hit damage. When you come here, you can see that it also still has 1 hit damage, 2 hit damage, 3 hit damage. And that's because the moment you use this move, her attacks for the next couple of seconds while she's in sword mode, it's the easiest way to think about it, she's in sword mode now, is now scaled off of burst damage. All her attacks have now become burst damage. This is where your initial damage will show up, but you can still get a lot of damage out of her 1 to 5 string. Charge attack's really good. Also your plunge attack, even your plunge attack is now burst damage. Now you're more likely not going to get this going for you, right? What really matters is that you go here, maybe a 1-2-3 charge attack, 1-2-3 charge attack like you'd play Ayaka or Kuching, or a 1-2-3 dash, 1-2-3 dash. There's a couple of different motions. I know the charge attack one works well for me. You can get a decent amount of damage. Sometimes I've gotten around 9,000 damage, though I am currently using her 5-star weapon. Even with weapons of 4-star, I think you still get around 4,000, 6,000, and 5,000 from the test you'll see in the weapon comparison videos, which is still really good, especially for a support character you're switching in just to get some more damage. So one other really important thing, and it's going to give you more damage in your burst, is there's a ring behind Raiden or whatever character you're currently using when you use her E skill, right? When you use her E skill, Eye of Stormy Judgment will be like the only thing that's glowing originally. But when you use a burst with another character, you'll see that the circle begins to glow more. It starts going counterclockwise. So you'll get a little bit of energy depending on what kind of burst you use. The more expensive the burst, the more resolve she'll build up. That is what they call it. The easiest way to think about it is the more you light up the ring. So if you're using characters like Xingqiu, or you're using characters like Sarah, whose bursts have really high needs, right, high energy cost, you're going to level up you're going to increase the ring a lot faster. When the ring is full, that's when you do your maximum amount of damage with your burst. And it's really cool just to see this little mechanic, and in a way, it's pretty simple to see once you figure it out. You only have they have 300 seconds on the thing, right? That's about, what was it, 5 minutes? So you'll most likely be fine. When I was doing the test, I would run around, use the burst with multiple characters, because the characters I was using in the weapon showcase do not stack her resolve immediately, right? They all had very small burst cost. But I would go run all the way back over to the flower, jump all the way down, take away his little shield, and then do it. So don't panic too much about running out of it, though there is currently, I think, a problem with Spiral where she's not keeping her energy. But Spiral-wise, I've been mostly fine. I still have to go try 12 with her. So far, it's been okay up to 11. So as you can see here, her passive talent allows you to gain resolve stacks once party members gain energy. So you can have this effect every 3 seconds, so that helps you build the bar or fill the circle a bit faster. And then this passive talent was very good once you get, I think it's ascended level 60. Just like with Zhongli when he kind of gets his HP buff, and it kind of makes him a bit of a different character. This will allow you to make Raiden feel like a bit of a different character, because she gets Electro bonus damage and greater energy restoring for your other teammates, based off being over 100 energy recharge, which is very easy to do with her, because this isn't a talent, but every time you level her up, she specifically gets energy recharge up. So right now I'm at like 259. I don't remember what the leaps are specifically, but you will get energy recharge, which makes it a bit nicer to build for energy recharge. And it's also the thing that's made the whole dilemma with the attack stat and the energy recharge stat. From videos I've seen, I haven't seen too much of a difference. But again, like I said beforehand, when I get more artifacts, I'll test that out and we'll see if there's any noticeable comparison. I eventually want to do that myself. So as for priorities, what you're trying to level first should be your burst. Make sure you get your burst as high as you can get it. Second would be your E, because this E skill is basically what lends her as a support. And then lastly, if you really wanted to, and I wouldn't tell you to do this, I'm only doing this because Lightning Eagle, this is my stick right now. This is it, right? Would be her normal attack. Her normal attacks is nothing to write home about. It's not really special. This is a very good bonus. This is the only thing that makes this feel kind of comfortable. And then this is just great. Like, you can get, what, 69k off of her 5-star weapon, and then if you actually run a team comp like Bennett, Sarah, and then like Sucrose, you can go all the way to like 100k. So it's really nice. As for artifacts, I am currently running the 4-piece burst set. Now, I remember in my video beforehand when we were talking about her kit, there were a few I recommended. Again, the test I'm going to do specifically is I'm going to go try to find better Noblesse pieces to run with this. So for her, Noblesse, Thundering Fury was one that they run specifically in the trial, and I don't remember it being too terrible, because you do at least get to pseudo test that one out. But 4 Emblem has been doing me well, and being able to get up to 95k, I can automatically kind of recommend that one. It's given me a couple of like easy kills, so if I'm going through Spiral, can't kill something like immediately, or I'm trying to make the time, I just try to make sure I stack with her with maybe like Sarah, and then burst, and it usually takes off the health. For the pieces I have, I got lucky with an Electro Goblet set on set, right? With crit damage, attack percentage, right? This is all really nice except these 2 subsets, but we're not going to worry about that. Main set, Electro bonus damage, crit rate here, and it also has crit damage. If you get a crit rate or a crit damage piece, you want to try to make sure that you get its opposite here in the substats if you can. That'd be the only one I tell you to pay more attention to. HP, again, good substats on this one. Flower, again, good subs. This one was actually really good. This Feather, my bad. Feather was really good on this one, 22. And then the timepiece here, I have an energy recharge. Now, I do have a spare attack one. As I said before, I want to try to make sure that I get a little bit of a better piece to make the test more fair. Because these aren't, you know, I don't really have that kind of crazy streamer luck. These two are not comparable. But there is a big thing going on right now with people wondering whether the attack is better or the energy recharge piece is better currently. Some people are even wondering about the goblet, whether or not you need the attack goblet or if you want the energy recharge, the electro damage goblet, which I have one that I'm slowly building up right now. So again, we will end up testing that. So far, again, I wouldn't tell you to get too concerned. The only time you really have to worry about your energy recharge is because there can be a bit of a difference with your weapon substats. We're going to get into weapons in just a second. I just want to kind of break this down for you guys. So people are concerned because it seems you can overcap with your energy recharge, right? You start getting diminishing returns. Because she already gets electro or energy recharge, and this weapon, specifically hers, Favonius, the prototype, which I also made for this, all get energy recharge. They think you might be getting diminishing returns. I'm not going to tell you to stress out about this, and because this is kind of a casual guide, don't stress too much. I think you'll do fine. Both these weapons got me around 35k damage with not running a team that's built for her. It was just Amber, Rosaria to try to make sure I hit the crit, and then Sucrose is just there. They didn't even use the debuff for her. So that was just raw damage. I got about 35. If you're building a team around her, or if you're using her as a support, I doubt you need to be so worried about it. And I know everyone, you want your maximum damage, but I would not stress. And I'm about to show you all. Let's get into the weapons. The differences, I'm going to put them in order. There's not going to be much talking about it until after it's done. And then I'll give you down my last breakdown when we talk about teams. So, as the weapons go, as you can see from my prototype, it got a 31k crit. Again, that's not bad for a buildable weapon. It's a good chunk of damage from a burst, I would say. Especially for the fact that most people, or in that video specifically, I was not running a team that is boosting her damage, where I would either run Bennett with her before using the burst, or I would run Sarah with her before using the burst, because it really does increase the amount of damage, or using a Mino character with VV set, Viridescent set, the green one, because that shreds resistance to a certain element. So you throw E on the opponent, use the swirling ability, and then that would lower their defense to whatever element you just swirled. So just plain burst, max resolve, was 31k, so I wouldn't say it's terrible. So as you can see, the Favonius did a little bit more damage than the prototype. Now, the prototype still has its merit for the fact that it's a craftable weapon, right? So you don't have to stress about trying to get the Favonius on random, but most people I know have a Favonius Lance. Not everybody, obviously. But the nice thing is, because it has a higher attack stat, specifically, it seems that it did more damage because of your base attack. Now, it has less energy recharge, but you have a, to me, better chance of getting energy back. Occasionally, when you hit a crit, you have a chance of getting energy back, and 60% isn't bad odds, I'd say, at the start. Mine's at Refinement 5 currently. This is the one I use on Rosaria, so I have a 100% chance. But that's also really nice, too. If you get a couple of Favonius Lances, you can make sure that you get energy back every time you crit. That kind of security with a weapon can always be nice. So the one that's taking the cake between these two is the Favonius Lance. Are the third and fourth, going a bit higher than our last place two, would be the crit weapons. And this is obvious, right? Because the crit weapons allow you to focus on developing a character to get crit rate or crit damage. So with the Blackcliff Pole, as you can see, we did about 38k, so we're 3,000 over where the Favonius was at. So again, should also make you feel a little bit better about the Favonius, right? But when you have a weapon like this, though the passive isn't always the greatest, I think like if you're in Spiral and you're fighting a bunch of Hilichurls, it'd be nice, you know, 1 slash, you'd get your attack percentage up, cool. But either way, you can just focus on crit rate. So you have 50% crit damage. Just go get a crit rate hat if you can get it, right? You have way less to worry about since this is already setting you up to do more damage. And then I don't have the deathmatch. I'm going to plan it to get it with this next battle pass. But again, same rules apply. I just don't really have any, idea for the passive. With having a crit rate weapon, you can focus on your crit damage. And I would assume it'd probably be similar damage, except if the passive changes anything about it or if it has a higher attack stat. But either way, I'd put them in the same place if there are third recommended outside of these two weapons for energy recharge. But if you were going to use this one or the other one, I think I would be running the energy recharge sands just because you don't have that here. These two weapons, the reason why I use these two is because they have the set, which is a bit helpful for getting you around the 200 range. But this one specifically, you only have this one as your passive, so you're gonna have to work with it. So lastly, we get to our 5 stars. So on this account, my Asia account has the Skyward. So we have my Skyward Spine here in my Asia account. And one thing you have to take into consideration, and I had to relook at as I was editing this, was the fact that my crit damage is a lot lower. Now, it's going to be hard for me to replicate that in whatever fashion, just because this is my free-to-play account. I don't have all the pieces here. My other crit damage for both of the weapons is about 170. This one's only at 130. In comparison to the other 4 stars, or with this 5-star in comparison to the other 4 stars I was running, it was only 9 crit rate higher than the other ones. But from my 5 stars, this one's way lower currently, and my talents on this account is 6 versus 7. So this weapon more likely can do more damage, but at least you get to visually see what the weapon did for me now. And just in case, like, if you don't have your talents at level 7 or whatever else, you can see that this thing can help you. However, I'm going to have to do a better check with this later on when I get better pieces for this account. Till then, don't make the judgment for this one too bad. It's in my 3rd place right now, but it's in my 3rd place with my free-to-play account, so really take that in mind. Also, its perks of having crit rate, it's always nice. Like if you switch it, it literally takes out 8 crit rate percentage. Also, normal attack speed's also up, which is also kind of cool. And then you have a chance for a vacuum blade kind of thing. Again, it's a good stick. For our second to last, we have the Jade Spear. And the Jade Spear is really good, obviously, for the high attack. Now, this one I have at level 90 because we had this ready for her. Wasn't so sure if I was going to be able to get this weapon off my 50-50, so this was just my just-in-case weapon. The only thing that can suck about this weapon is because you have to build the stacks up from attacking. And you'll notice when you have the max sets when this starts glowing like a crazy green. And that can be the only thing. But as far as damage went, I'd say a 5k crit with no extra prompts and no viridescent tear apart or whatever is pretty good, right? That's a nice weapon to have. And this one you can get off standard banner. That's where I got it. You always have a chance to get this weapon. So if you have it, you can use it. I don't have Homa, but I've seen that Homa does really well. One of our friends on the channel got around like a, with setup, 150 crit, 150k crit, so it was pretty nice. And then lastly, we have her weapon that is not even at the same level as the Jade Spear, but is doing the similar amount of damage. And then I should probably one day run this with the attack set. I wasn't really using the, I think the buff is already there, but I wasn't even trying to go for the buff specifically, and it already did more damage, 69k. Obviously, again, it's her weapon, so I would be surprised if it wasn't doing great. But it's really just nice to see that, wow, right? And then you already, with this passive, you do get already, your attack is increased by 280% of your energy recharge from over base 100%. So this is another reason why this weapon's good with the energy recharge. I know I was talking about the passive beforehand, but this right here, you know, that's just there. And also getting more energy recharge after using the burst is always nice. But it's just a good weapon. I just really wanted to say the fact that without this, it still outperformed this weapon 10 higher levels. It's kind of crazy. So when it comes to teams, again, I'm a little newer to this, so you can take this part of my advice with like a grain of salt, right? But currently, the kind of teams I've been trying just to see if I can try to run her specifically as more of a main DPS for burst, just like a burst DPS, like Mona herself, has been her, Mona, Sarah, and then a healer. Not specifically Bennett, but if we're gonna go into trying to get more attack, these two together can really prompt up a team. However, what it means is you're taking away one of these characters from the other team, which I wouldn't do. So typically what I run is like Jean here, because Jean's always just a nice support. If I need somebody a little bit, I mean, now Barbara can actually kind of be used since we don't have the ice levels in Spiral, right? This would also make the healing more effective, but I wouldn't worry too much about this. The really good thing for Electro characters is usually Electro Charge, because all the other setups aren't the greatest for these characters. She can also be kind of a substitute for Beidou. So on this team here, right, I have Beidou here, so whenever Keqing's attacking currently in her, when she has her Electro Sword up and Beidou gets her burst, Beidou's burst can allow Keqing to get more Electro damage in, obviously based off her, but if you don't have Beidou, and you do have her, the E works basically the same. So I can throw out her E, use Keqing, and then Keqing as she's attacking will still get her extra Electro damage on the characters, and then that can always prompt electrocute or whatever it's called, the Hydro and Electro setup. And then again, Jean or another character that's an emo, like if you don't need a healer, probably should still have a healer, but if you don't need a healer, can always prompt the decrease in Electro damage, because you're going to be running on most Nemo characters, you're running VV set, and VV set decreases the Electro resistance or the elemental resistance characters and enemies have towards your attacks. Another very, very nice team, I usually run it like this, just because Rosaria can ensure crit rate, is this kind of team, because Eula can really use an Electro character that allows her to get her Superconduct damage. Now we're talking about Superconduct. So the physical damage does more. Honestly, these two characters together go super well. And the other great thing is when you go into Shogun mode, like when you go into the sword mode, you can build up energy recharge. It helps Eula get back to her burst. And then that burst comes out, boom, big explosion. It costs a lot. That's going to help her resolve. And then they kind of go back and forth. I like Rosaria here just because she gets her burst back fast. Now, some people are probably going to argue it'd be better to have a lot of characters that need a lot of energy for their burst, so you can get the resolve stacks in like one run. And again, I'm not going to argue with them on that. I'm just going to bring out the common trait someone might bring up. Basically, the bigger the burst characters have, like Mona or like Sarah, the faster the ring goes. And having a character like Rosaria, who gets her burst back pretty fast, might hinder that. But to me, I think it's fine. I think these two together make the physical resistance debuff a lot easier for Eula. Eula gets in there, swings a couple times, one big burst, everybody's dead. Right? Other teams that people might try, and I'd have to see the legitimacy of, would probably be like Zhongli, and then another Geo character. Let me throw Noelle here instead. Probably like Albedo, because Albedo's usually the two group here. And probably lowering resistance for Raiden Shogun herself, because he has a debuff with his E skill that lowers the defense, or lowers the physical resistance, or whatever, the resistance of the character at the time, in order to get you more damage on your burst. You see him in a lot of big kind of burst setups. And then the last thing I think I've seen is people run, and this is the one I haven't tried myself, all the other ones like I've had some actual knowledge in. The things I've seen people do is either, like, I think it's national team, right, where they do one... Where is Bennett's? Where are you, Bennett's? Bennett, where'd you go? There we go. 2 and 3. So this kind of team just kind of gives you like an overall really good amount of damage, I'd say, right? You have Pyro up, right? You're affected by Cryoless. That's not what matters. It's 25% up attack. I mean, that's still nice. Xingqiu here, large burst. It's going to help the resolve stack. So you have Bennett here. It's going to be a 60 burst. You have Shunling here, which is going to be an 80 burst. So these are both going to still help her with the resolve really well. Whenever she uses her burst, it now means that all these characters are getting their energy back, and each one of these characters' bursts are very good. This burst is specifically going to get you not only healing, but also more attack. This burst here is going to add more damage. It's also going to give you electrocute with both of them acting at the same time. Her E and his swords. And then Shunling, if you haven't known or you haven't seen, her burst can do crazy damage. She is now making people reconsider their 5 stars in Pyro just because she's doing so much damage. I don't really like her too much, so I don't really run her as often, right? For these kind of videos, I have to bring it up, and on Asia, I'm forced to kind of use her a bit. But these characters together are still like really good. Like, they're just really viable. It's just how it works. Another thing that can also make your burst life a bit easy, but this isn't like meta or anything else, it's just like making sure you have a character like Sucrose. I don't think I would get rid of Xingqiu there, but any crowd control characters can help because they allow you to just put your burst in one area, because her slash just kind of goes in front of her. And if you can hit everybody with that, that also means you can probably clean up house a little easier. And then obviously Kazuha, but I don't have Kazuha. Kazuha has been like a game changer. He gives a ton of EM to other characters, I believe. And then also VV set shreds, so they're also getting the resistance down, and Kazuha just gives a lot of characters big numbers. But that's basically it, I'd say, for my ideas with team comp. So as for my thoughts of her like in the game, or as like character-wise with her kit, all around, I think I'm here for it. The only issue that I think I was a little saddened by, like a lot of other people, was the fact that she doesn't work with Beidou. And if they ever change that, that would be really nice for her, like, kit in general. Could you get double this, like, kind of damage going on? But as you can see, that's 67k hit, and this is with her 5-star weapon, mind you. Which is really nice. Like, this is just really cool. I think the animations are really sick. Being able to switch into other characters and be like, oh, wow, look what Sarah can do now that she can do this. Is really cool. I like the fact that they're kind of a set here. If I do this and switch to her and go like this, like, it's done, right? It's just super quick. So I think, like, overall, surprise, surprise, I think she's a pretty solid unit. Again, I do think people kind of have a habit of, like, ever since Zhongli, Ganyu, and Hu Tao and them came out, their expectations are a bit high, in my opinion. But I'm not going to make that a whole spiel part of this video. I think as burst goes, like, it's really nice to have a character that gives you back your energy after your burst. That's one of the great things about, I think it's Jean's second constellation, or one of her constellations, that after you use her burst you get energy back. I know Venti has that, right? Where after you use his burst you basically get energy back. It makes it really easy just to go into burst to burst to burst, and while it doesn't really do it for her, it's nice that it does it for other characters. So now when I have my team and I'm like, freak, we're low, we're not, our problems are solved because the Raiden Shogun's here and she's giving us all our electro energy back. Also with like electro buff or the resonance, you're also getting energy back there. And then, like, design-wise and everything else, you all know how I felt about this, but the moment she came out, unlike everybody else who switched up just because of the Booba sword, I was here at the start, right? I mean, she also has some of, like, the sickest animations in the game, right? Then story-wise and everything else is pretty good as well. Kit, I don't feel is too confusing. Like, if you watch a video like this or other people's videos, like, I know, like, X-Slice, I still cannot pronounce her name. ZYOXX, that dude, he makes great guides, but I can never remember how to pronounce her name. There's been a lot of channels that will show you what's going on. And I think a big thing is it's just like she has a paragraph of notes for her kit, and it's not that complex. It's just Xingqiu E, it makes burst better for other teams. Q, sword mode, does a lot of damage, gives you your energy back, right? Like, if they just made it that simple, more people would have a chance to understand it. And then the last part, I guess, was make ring glow full by using bursts. It's simple, right? It's not complicated if you say it like that. But when they do like an hour paragraph about like all the different parts of the kit, like, it's nice to get your numbers right, especially if you're doing theory crafting or anything else like that. It's very important. But for the average player who's just getting into the game, just trying to try out the character, might as well just make it very simple. Have a more detailed discussion about it, and then maybe like a simple discussion. Or they could start showing visuals for this. Like, I know they do it for our like trailers and other things like that, but just like have the visuals there as they look at the characters. But that might be a little too much for like phone space. But overall, great character, really enjoy her. Next, we're gonna have to get on to Sarah. That character's a bit more complicated for me, and I have way more weapons I have to try for her, and way more comps. You're probably gonna see me use some of her materials just so I can test out what I need to do for Sarah. Because man, oh man, there are a lot of ways to run that character. But hopefully you enjoy. Hopefully this isn't too long. I'm looking at this thing right now and going, oh boy. And I'll catch you later. Peace out, Lightning Brigade. Hope you enjoy being a part of the Electro Archon's army.